Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk about today is hitting a successful lob shot. So how to use a lob wedge around the greens. I'm going to split today's video into three parts. We're going to look at why we're choosing this club, why we're using this club in this situation. We'll go through the technique, the second part, and then the third part, just pay a little bit of attention to how the ball is reacting at the other end. Okay, so let's look at the shot in front of us. What we've got is a situation, we've only got probably 2-3 paces before we get to the bunker. Then we have the bunker. Let's have a little wander up. And then if we carry the bunker on the line that we're on, we've got now 1, 2, 3, 4 paces to get to the edge of the green. And this part of the golf course is falling back into the bunker. So we need a shot that's going to get the ball up and over this. We don't want to land it in this area, we want to get it over it. But we've only got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paces to get to the hole. So we haven't got a lot of green to work with. So it's a December day here in the UK. We've only got one advantage sort of helping us with this shot. The greens are going to be reasonably soft. But what I'm looking for here, and this is the big thing, I want trajectory. I want to use the trajectory of the golf ball to land on the green. I don't want to hit it in a certain way. I'm trying to check the spin and get that control on the ball. Just want to use the loft of the club, get the right contact, get the elevation, get the trajectory. And the biggest thing is I must cover this area here. I must get over this. If I land on this, it could roll all the way back into the bunker. So if you've watched some of my other chipping videos, we have this rule I call the 2-step rule. I want to land the ball at least 2 steps onto the green. And the reason for that, if I'm thinking of landing it here, if I underhit it by a pace, I'm still going to land on the green. I won't end up back in the bunker. If I'm trying to be cute and land it just on the green, the problem with that, if I underhit that, I could end up back. So we're looking for that comfortable 2 steps on, and that still gives me about 3 steps of green to work with. And even using a lob wedge, people sort of look at shots and they think, well, I've got to land the ball right by the hole. Whatever trajectory you hit this at, unless you've suddenly turned into Phil Mickelson and you can hit the parachute shot, it's going to come in at a trajectory. When it lands, it will run on a little bit, even with a lob wedge. So we're still looking, we probably would get 5, 6, maybe up to 10 feet of roll, even using a lob wedge in this situation. So again, the biggest thing when you come to any shot is work out what you think is the best way. If I really want to get this close and I want to take all of this danger out of play, the lob wedge is the right club. Okay, some of you might think you can land it onto this hitting lower, bounce it into that and run up. I think that's quite a risky shot. So learn to use the golf club. And the big thing for me, if you can learn to use the technique of the lob wedge, you can help with your sand irons shots, your pitching wedges shot, your gap wedge shots around the green, because the same basic technique is there. And that's the second bit we're going to look at. We're going to look at how the technique is important and how this golf club should work. So the first part of our technique that we're going to look at is ball position. And what I see with most golfers, when they suddenly think they've got to get elevation, the first thing they do is they start to put the ball forward in their stance. And I understand why golfers do this. It looks the sensible thing to do. The further you put it forward, the more the club now looks like it's going to help the golf ball up into the air. But here's the biggest mistake. By moving the ball forward, what you start to do now is the chances are your club is going to be on the up. And if your club is on the up, you're more likely to hit the middle of the golf ball, which means you're going to thin it across the other side of the green. So the most important thing I need you to get the understanding for, which I did on one of my previous videos, which I called How to Hit Great Pitch Shots, is understand how the golf club works. And what we must make sure is we're keeping the club going through underneath the ball. We don't want to get the sensation that as we get to the ball, we're trying to help the ball up. So what I see, number one, is when you're looking to play a lob shot, the first thing is make sure you're using a lob wedge. Because if you're using a lob wedge, it's designed to do the job for you. And the setup and the technique I'm going to show you, it will now work. If you haven't got a lob wedge and you want to get the elevation, you would have to adapt the club and adapt your setup, making the shot much, much harder. So a lob wedge, my lob wedge has 60 degrees of loft. I know if I deliver that correctly to the ball, it will elevate the ball up over this bunker where we've said 2 or 3 paces onto the green, and it will stop. So the most important thing, when I'm playing this shot, if you imagine my hand as the club, I want to keep the club going down and through underneath the ball. So the most important thing, if I'm making contact with the ground and I'm taking a divot, the divot is after the golf ball, so whole side of the ball. So what I do in my setup, I will always play the ball because I know there's plenty of loft, either pretty central or slightly favouring my back foot. So as a right-handed golfer, that's near my right foot. And the idea of that, you can see when I set up to the ball now, that gets my hands slightly favouring the front of the golf ball. And what I want to do when I hit the shot is I want to get my hands back to that position when I make contact. If my hands are favouring the front of the ball, then I've got a chance. So all I've set up here with the two clubs is just basically that first club you can see there is going straight at the flag, and this is just creating a right angle. So relative to your target, I need to do two things. I want to feel the club face is square to where I want to go. I've got 60 degrees, so the club will do the work for me. And then number two, with my setup, I want to feel the handle just fractionally ahead of that other club. Just slightly, as I'm looking at it as the golfer, to the left side of the golf ball, the front side of the ball. As you're looking at the camera, it'll look slightly to the right. And if I now get my setup in a position where I call it, I clap my hands, and I clap my hands now in a position where my hands are favouring the front of the ball, then my body is already in that position. If I put the ball off my front foot to now get that position, look how awkward that looks. Show me a tour player who does that. They're not. The tour player is going to bring their body into that position. And the great thing is you can now go and buy the equipment that's going to help you to play that shot. So that first and most important bit for me is to make sure from this position you've got that ball position correct. Too far forward, you may hit the ground, you might thin it. Inconsistent contact. Play it more central or even slightly just a ball width back in your stance, and now the hands are favouring the front of the ball. It gives you the chance you're going to hit the ball at the bottom, and then the grooves and the loft are going to make that ball jump up into the air. So this is very important to me. Get the ball position right, makes it very, very easy. And we're going to show you how important that setup is when you play the shot right. So we're now going to look from a different angle. We're going to look at it more down the line and how that should be setting up relative to our target. So now we're going to look at it down the line, and we've kept our club showing us the direction that we're going towards the flag. But what I've put in now is a secondary club just to show the alignment of the body. And this is another error I see with a lot of golfers. When they address the ball, they get it off their front foot, they open their stance way up, and they're trying to slide underneath. Now, the problem with that is that's making it very difficult to sort of sense that you're swinging the correct way to the line that you want to hit the golf ball. And remember what we said from the very beginning, a lob wedge has plenty of loft on the club. It will do the job. We're looking for trajectory, we're looking for it to pop it up into the air. So what I've put down here, the first line is our club there. I just want to feel the club is going square to that. And then the alignment of my body is going fractionally open. Now you can see hopefully from that club, we're only talking at the most, I'm probably aiming that club 5 to 10 degrees left of the target. I'm not standing at 45-degree angle. Again, watch the top players. They're not getting their body in awkward positions. They're keeping it very simple. Golf is originally, for me, about two things. One, swinging the club along the right path to where you want to go. And two, the club face is pointing in the right direction. If you do those two things, you're going to hit the golf ball pretty consistently where you want to go. And remember, we keep saying this, the golf club is designed to do it for me. So by setting up, we talked about the ball position, and now I've got the feeling my stance just fractionally open. I can now swing the club nicely along the line that I want to go, but I'm not creating an angle where I feel like I've got to manipulate the swing as I go through the shot. Now, what we're going to do, just mentally, as we play this shot, we've got this other club, approximately, there's about a foot gap between my ball and the butt of the club. And what I want you to think when you're actually playing this shot is you're going to think that when you strike the ball, keep the club going through. So I'm going to imagine I'm going to still try and clip the bottom of that. I'm going to hit the butt of that club a foot afterwards. So the club itself is continuing its journey. And to do that, I've got to keep my arms and body going through. I don't want to get to the ball and feel like I'm the one helping it up. Okay, remember what we said, it's a 60-degree golf club. It will do the work for me. So my first job is just to get contact on the ball. Not worried so much about the power. Just get the contact there, through, and we're over the shot. But by imagining that position, I've got through it. I've landed that ball probably a foot onto the green. And because I've trusted the trajectory of the shot, the ball has ended up about, I would say, 6 feet short of the flag. So really happy with that result. So by doing those setup points and getting myself in the correct position, it allowed me to get the contact on the ball. And for me, that's always your first thing. If the contact is good, you can then work out the power. If the contact's poor, you have no idea if that's the right power or not. If you hit the ground and you may have the perfect power, the ball will come up short. If you thin the ball with the correct power, it'll probably scoot across the other side of the green. So your number one priority is find that contact. And what we've shown you, number one, is the understanding of how the setup is going to allow you to do that. Make sure the club is sitting as it's designed, flat on its bottom. 2, we're playing that ball slightly nearer your back foot, middle to back foot. And 3, very slightly open stance. 5 degrees is enough. And then mentally, all I'm thinking of when I hit this ball, I'm going to hit the shot, and I'm going to keep the club low to the ground. I feel like I'm going to hit the butt of the other club, and keep that going through. And if I do that, the elevation will be there. Okay? So both of those have got nice contact. First one's ended up 6-7 feet away short. The other one's ended up probably 5-6 feet further the other side. So I'm going to play a few more shots now. We're just going to watch the result of the ball. That's a really important thing to understand. We're going to look at when the ball lands, how it reacts, how quick it stops. So you're getting a clear picture in your mind. So when you get this shot, you now understand what to do, both through technique, you understand how the ball's going to react, and then when you arrive at this shot, you know exactly what to do, and you can do it. So let's watch a few shots. Let's see how they work out. So all we're going to do from here is just play 2 or 3 shots. Just pay attention to the look at the flight of the ball that you see on the camera, how the ball reacts at the other end. So we're just trusting the golf club, understanding how it's going to work. Just make sure that club's not too close. But again, still the same theory. Play the shot. Hopefully what you can see is the flight. It's landing comfortably, that 2-3 paces on. That ball's probably ended up about 4 feet away. But all I'm doing is trusting the loft of the club, allowing it to do the work for me. And you see that one nicely stopping on the green, and we're getting the result that we want. So if we do a recap of the video, the key thing that we're looking for is understand how the lob wedge works and how it's then going to react at the other end. So if you look at the sort of the previous bit we've just gone through, understanding how the ball's reacting when it hits the green, and we're using the loft of the club, which gives us the trajectory of the ball to land on the green. And that's your first thing you're looking for when you get to that shot. Look at the shot, think, what can I do? What's my ability? What trajectory can I get? How quick is the ball going to stop? And then that makes the decision of the club that you're going to use. In this situation, we had, as I said, a bunker in front of us. We only had 5 paces of green to work with, so we needed the elevation. We needed to use the lob wedge. And what we've gone through the video is understand now what's the shot, what we expect the club to do, how it's going to work, and we went through the technique, making sure that ball position much more central to maybe even a little bit back in your stance, only talking a ball width at the most, but that gives you the feeling that you're going to hit down on the ball to then keep the club going through, with that idea of hitting the butt of the other club to keep it going through. Now the loft and also the grooves on the club can make the ball do what you want it to do. Have a stance that's just fractionally open. We said at maximum of 10 degrees. So again, we're keeping that body in a much simpler position to allow you to swing the club along the line you want to go. If you do that with the right equipment, this is not a hard shot. And it's an important shot that you can add to your game, because if you can get the feel of the technique with this club, all the other clubs that you may hit with a little bit less loft, i.e. your pitching wedge, your gap wedges, you're going to find a lot easier to hit, but you're going to learn from the trajectory how it works. So for me, don't get put off by using your lob wedge. It's a great club. It can make a massive difference to your scores. Please go and practice it. Give these ideas a go, and you'll see the improvement around the greens. I hope you've enjoyed today's tip. If you have, please share this with your friends and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I look forward to seeing you soon.